Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Masters of Self University podcast. I'm your host, Ellie Lee.
And I'm your host, Danny Morley. And today, Ellie and I are joined by one of our fellow coaches, Christy Cunningworth. Well, welcome back.
Hello. Happy to be here, as always.
So, Christy, I know you want to dive into what you do for a living, what you do as your career. And I'm sure, you being in what we like to call the sick care system, as you're evolving as a being has been I can't even imagine the things that you see, the things that you witness, how broken of a system that whole is, and all the people that suffer for it. So I'd love for you to just take it away.
Yeah, totally. The first thing I want to say is this perspective that the system is broken. And this is a teaching that Rachel gave us recently. And the system actually functions exactly as it's meant to. And for me, this has been a level of integration because it's easier to accept that the system is broken than the system is actually created exactly as it's meant to, and it's functioning perfectly to keep people sick, suffering, and just unwell enough to be feeding the system without killing them. And so I think that that's a really good place to start, is just that awareness. And so I've recently gotten back. I've taken quite a lot of time away, and I'm lucky enough to work casually. So I just pick up shifts when I want to, when my beingness is ready for the 12-hour shift and the pummeling of the nervous system that I know I'm going to get. And it's been wild to see after 9 months away what is shifting in our system. And to me, it's shifting for the worse. But watching as I grow and as I evolve, what is actually happening within me and myself. Because I've spent many years being so triggered by the system that I work in. Triggered by the bright lights and the beeping and the powerlessness and the people around me and the patients and all the energies. And now this is really shifting. And what I'm noticing is I spent my career living with a closed heart, completely closed. And I could show up every day and I would be triggered into my own wounding to basically keep me able to show up to work on a day-to-day basis. And now that this is shifting, my sensitivities are so much brighter, glowing, and my heart is more open. And there is a lot more pain here to be felt by me. And so that is a really big shift. And as an HSP empath, it is starting to be more clear that this isn't the place for me to be working.
Yeah, it's obviously not an easy environment to be in. As somebody who definitely has struggled with like hypochondria and, every time I'd see blood, I would just freak out. So like just being in that environment where people are constantly coming in and, there's just so many different aspects to it, right? There's the aspect to it of you're in this toxic system that's not really providing full help and what real healthcare should be. And then you've got dealing with the people that are coming in and they're bringing in all of these energies of like, probably powerlessness, helplessness, fear. And then you got for me, like the physical part of it of like being around anything that isn't, I could not work in that environment and thrive. It wouldn't be good for me, just because of my own personal makeup. And then you bring in the fact, oh yeah, and I'm a HSP, so I feel so much. And I'm an empath, so I'm feeling what other people are feeling. Yeah, it's got to be just like constant challenges on a daily basis whenever you're there.
Constant challenges. And what I notice is now that I am more advanced in this work, I know more what my own wounds feel like. And I also have learned detachment, discernment, what is mine, what is not, and how to remove things, energies from my body that don't belong to me, that are not mine to heal. I am able to go into work with this readiness, this power, because I've healed a lot of the powerlessness, helplessness, codependency within myself. And over the course of the day, even staying so consciously aware at what energy is coming at me. Sometimes as a triage nurse, you see 60 patients in a day, in and out, in and out, in and out, and detaching from each person that I see, feeling the energies of what I feel in them, noticing if it starts to become me in the next moments afterwards, if I didn't detach. And then also on my breaks, because you get little periods of breaks, making sure that I go outside, step away from the environment, clear the energies again, come back in with an open slate. What I'm really noticing is as I heal the wounds in me, I can see that this energy will actually never change. And this is something that has shifted for me. I thought that it was all me. I thought that if I healed myself, I would be able to show up to sick care, show up to this environment, and be able to be solid and unaffected by the energies around me. And what I'm learning now is that this will never be the case because of the low vibrational frequency that the system inherently operates. So I can heal my triggers and take responsibility for whatever stuff is activated in me by the surroundings that I'm putting myself in. And at the same time, it's this realization that's coming online that if I continue to keep choosing to show up in this system, there is a level of exhaustion, of draining, of adrenal fatigue, of nervous system activation that will never go away. And so it's just up to me, like, how much do I want to choose to do this as I transition into something different?
Yeah, I can relate to this a lot as somebody who still works in a restaurant and has to deal with other people's energy all of the time. And I, like you, I found now when I go on a break, I'm not hanging out in the restaurant. Sometimes I will go and spend a little time in my car if I'm like, really want that. But most of the time, even if it's dark and it's cold out, I'm going outside, getting the fresh air, spending the time with the trees, dropping in, connecting. I'm trying not to be on my phone as much as possible so I can actually do the work in real time and clear my energy and find that like sense of grounding and like centeredness. But as you said, the system is the system, and yeah, we can bring our light. Am I powerful enough to bring my light into a system that isn't functioning on oneness and still choose to clear and not run the programs, not attach to things, and still alchemize what comes up? But at the end of the day, like, it's always going to be that system until we create something entirely new, until from the top down and the bottom up everybody in the system is functioning from oneness. All the energies in there are of the way of purity, and it's like fighting an uphill battle, right? You can go in, you can try and change the system, but at the end of the day, it's like the system is the system. Can I enter it and still come out being me, or am I going to start to become what the system is, and fall into kind of that level of powerlessness?
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, this whole perspective that we need to change the system from within. This is what I've always heard, right? Change whatever broken system you're in from within. This is how it starts. And to me, that's starting to feel a little bit more like spiritual ego bullshit, like keeping us stuck and trapped in that same system. Versus, yeah, absolutely. Do what we can while we're there, while also taking responsibility for ourselves and why we keep showing up in the first place. Because ultimately, we're not going to change the system from within. It's going to have to burn to the ground fully and completely before that phoenix can rise from the ashes and we can create something entirely new and different. So it's been an interesting shift in perspective there.
Yeah, and then it's you have that shift, and then you're like, shit, but I still have to go to work, right? I still need money in this game of life, these resources. Can I find my power, go into a system that I know is totally messed up, it's totally backwards and inverted and not here to truly help people? And can I still show up and be motivated, inspired enough, not run all the programs of resistance and powerlessness and hopelessness, even though I know that this is all messed up.
Yes.
And still show up and be that level of responsibility and come out the other side, knowing that like this whole thing that I'm putting my energy to isn't the solution. It's never going to change. Can I still go in there, do what I need to do, and then come out and still have, and this is where I get hung up a lot, is will I have enough energy left over to actually become what needs to be the change? Like, will I be able to have my one foot, it's almost like have my foot in this world to be able to gain the resources that I need to be able to put my foot in this world? And that right now, I feel like that this is a dance that some of us are going to be going through, and maybe for a lot of people. I remember I had this naive thought that as soon as I finished the coaching certification, I was going to become a coach and I was never going to have to bartend ever again. I was never going to have to be in that old system. And I had this like definitive, like, I'm saying goodbye to that whole world. And I'm sure I've done podcasts about it. So if that exists, I'm sure there is. But at the end of the day, like that whole system still exists. And so we're in this transition space, and this might be the case for a lot of people. Like, I know I've got this deeper calling to do this thing over here, to become the change, to become the solution. But the truth is that the world isn't fully ready for me to step on that path. Can I be patient enough to like have my foot in both worlds until that old one really falls apart?
Yeah, 100%. You just nailed it. I'm smiling because I'm with my notebook open. I'm just looking at my Power Within work from the other day that, my emotional programs are torn, crazy, flip-flopping and straddling worlds, feeling like I'm going insane, not yet out and no longer in. And, ultimately that's exactly where I'm at right now, where I am no longer in that one. I'm no longer getting caught up in the same way in the atmosphere at work and getting pulled into the unconsciousness. Because in real time, I can see that that's happening. I go sit in the bathroom, I go step outside, and I can alchemize the energy that I'm feeling in those moments. And at the same time, there are still programs that are being triggered within me before going to work when I'm picking up shifts. Especially getting back to town, they've changed the system a little bit and it's for the worse. So for example, with picking up shifts, they've now made it competitive against each other so we can see who's bid on it. So it's actually causing people, they're trying to get you to bid on more shifts when you can see that you'll get it in seniority over someone else. And they're pinning us against each other. And it's also got a time limit now, which it never had before. So it's creating that pressure, that scarcity, that, oh my God, if you don't pick up the shift, you're going to lose it. And it's pretty interesting to see what this is doing to my system, because you can see that it's very cleverly put here on purpose in this way. You can see exactly what they're trying to do, but yet it's still triggering me, right? It's triggering my wounds of scarcity. It's triggering my wounds of pressure. I need to make a decision quickly. And as an HSP empath, that is not my forte at all, especially as an emotional authority in human design. I need spaciousness to feel myself and make the decision that I can hear the answer. And it's really triggering. So what I'm noticing is it's not cookie cutter. My programs about going to work change every day, and I need to be so acutely aware of what program is actually activated in this moment. So am I running a scarcity program that I need to go to work to make the money? And if I'm in that program, don't pick up the shift until I do the work to heal that, and then see if I'm still called or pulled to pick up the shift. Likewise, the other day, so I'm in this healing this aspect of scarcity. And then I realize that there's a little 5-year-old girl in me who's resistant to the rigid, controlling aspect of her father, who's saying, don't make me, you can't make me, I'm not going. And in that sense, once I was able to see that she's also playing in the field, playing in the game of the wounding that I was seeing, I actually chose to pick up a shift, basically not to enable her anymore, hold her hand and go, come on, honey, we're going together. Let's go. So it's been really interesting as I deepen my level of understanding and embodiment of this work to see how things are changing in my work reality.
Yeah, and this leads into having the inner awareness and discernment of, oh, I feel like I'm being guided to do this, or I feel like I'm being guided not to do this. Is that your soul, or is it your inner child? Right. And sometimes we can think, oh, I'm being guided to not do this thing because, oh, that feels right. Does it? Great, cool. Which is that your divinity speaking? Or does it feel right because there's a big part of you that's resistant to actually doing that? And this is one thing that I've had to constantly come back to, is when I feel the pull is like, or a push against doing something, is that my soul really guiding me? Or is it just a different aspect of my inner child that I am not conscious enough of yet? Just like you mentioned, Christy, with like the inner child that you mentioned about, like the rigid dad. Like, is that the part of that? Is that the part of you pulling the strings that's in there that you're not fully aware of yet? And this can be related to anything. It doesn't have to be work. It's anything that we're doing in life, and we've seen this with people coming through MSU who think that, you know, their souls, their intuitions guiding them not to do the work, when it's actually just a part of their shadow that's scared, or they're scared to try and fail, or they're scared to actually go in. But because we're not aware of that yet, we feel something and we just mistake that for guidance when it's just an unhealed part of our inner child.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's definitely a wounded part of me that doesn't want to be here anymore. And although there may be an aspect of truth in that this isn't my soul path, like the truth is if I wasn't meant to be here anymore, I would no longer be here, right? And the new path would be emerging. So can I become the way of surrender in this moment to recognize that at this point I'm still here and I'm still showing up every day in all the ways of oneness that I need to become in each moment to keep healing whatever it is triggered in me, keep learning how to be with the uncomfortable energies that I feel that, I go to work for a day, I'm not triggered into my wounding, but then I'm triggered the next day if I have to go back because I've just had such a bad day that I don't want to feel that pain all over again. Right? It's such an interesting experience. And, as I'm healing all of these wounds, the aspect of duality is also here to be seen and witnessed and alchemized as well, because it wants to say it's one or the other. You're either out of this world and in a different one, or vice versa. And finding this spaciousness to just be in this place of unknown. Because right now my life is very much in this, not yet out of one world, not yet in another, in a lot of different aspects of my life, and learning how to just be here in this area of gray, fully accepting that I'm not yet there, but I'm no longer here. And can that be an exciting place to be?
Right. Because it is true that you are elevating out of that place. That is true, right? That's why, I mean, you see everything now for what it is. And also, what do I still need to grow from? What do I still need to heal? Which you're beautifully doing. And it's, I think, a lot of people who are still very immature in their path would go, I'm just gonna leave because fuck this place, because this doesn't align with my soul. And an actual divine responsibility is like, no, I'm still here for a reason, and I'm elevating out of it, right? Two truths can exist at the same time. And how many people are moving through that right now? I mean, there are so many. There's like a student that I coached where this person was like, this industry that I'm a part of, I don't consent to what they're doing to Mother Earth, polluting Mother Earth, poisoning Mother Earth. And yet, she didn't run away from it, because there was still things that she had to learn, that she had to heal. And then when it was time, she found a job that actually assists Mother Earth, right? And so there's so much for us to, while our soul is like, no, we're here for a reason, be in that, and then become the way of surrender and the way of patience, because I'm sure those are like huge ones that you've had to become while you're still in a system that literally traps humans.
100%. And the phrase that I keep saying to myself especially when some of those programs of powerlessness and weakness want to rear their head, is how powerful can I become by staying, right? How powerful if I can learn how to heal everything in the presence of a circumstance like this, which is probably one of the gnarliest energies on the planet. How powerful can I become in my day to day? So that's been a really cool awareness.
Yeah, and then obviously on the other side to that, I've been in a situation where I was doing that you speak of, and trying to make myself, this is not related to work now, but make myself stay in a less than ideal scenario, because I felt like I should be powerful enough to be able to spend this time with certain people. And I, for a minute there, like I was, long story short, I was staying with some friends, let's just say, and I was telling myself, oh, I should be able to be around these people, get triggered, and still be, able to work through what's here. And then eventually I realized, and I think it was through a conversation with Ellie, she was like, yeah, all that's true, and you can still choose to leave, and that's not. I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. And in making the choice eventually to leave, it was like, oh, I look back now, this was years ago, I look back now and I'm like, why did I even stay that long? Like, I was actually running a program of powerlessness, telling myself, well, I should be powerful enough to be able to handle staying in this scenario, when actually the powerful thing to do was like, yeah, heal what comes up while you're there, and you don't actually have to be here. This isn't a like, oh, I need to be in this place to make money and be responsible in that way. It was that, like, I can leave any time, and I don't have to force myself to stay in a place where I know I'm going to get triggered, just to prove to myself that I'm powerful enough to handle it. It's like, that's where another, like, we can take that obviously that teaching of like, yeah, you've got to be able to powerful enough to handle, what's in front of you, but then taking it to the other extreme, right? And twisting that level of truth.
For sure. Is it time to go? Is it time for me to move on? And the fear of letting this go, because it is such a beautiful, it provides me a lot of freedom and flexibility to make the money I need when I need it. But is that just a security blanket, right? That actually keeps me trapped and attached to the old world? Because at this point, I have less than a pinky toe in the waters. There's nothing left to go but this pinky toe. And there is a lot of fear around it, of letting go of this resource and not knowing what comes next, not knowing how I'm going to make money, because this has been such a consistent way to do it. And there's fear here that I still have to work through. Absolutely.
Yeah. And Ellie, I've watched you kind of move through this entire process, with having your feet in the MTV world and the on-camera world, and then watching it slowly but surely over the course of since I've known you, the last like 3 or 4 years, watching it fade away. And I could tell, like, there was a period where and I'd love for you to obviously chime in on this, but you knew that you were contributing to the old world and the old earth, but yeah, this thing is your livelihood. It's sustaining you. And I'm sure, and I'd love you to sort of like, I'm sure there was resistance there to doing it, but I saw you just show up. And over time, eventually, it wasn't a choice that you necessarily had to make, right? It was very clear. It just faded away. And it was like, yeah, like you vibrated out of that reality.
Yeah, I mean, Christy, you touch on a good point of, it's that fear piece. Because of this job, this job paid me to live my life very worry free. And I knew that there was going to a day where this was going to go away from me. And I had to work through the fear of that, which allowed me to detach from it, so that when it did go, I was like, oh, that ended. And I worked through what I had to work through, that when it ended, I wasn't in like trying to hang on to it or trying to, because I knew that on a soul level, like, okay, I worked through what I worked through, and it went, and it scared the shit out of me. I mean, we all have so much survival shit to heal, right? And I know that this job provides financially a lot for you, even though it destroys you. Like Danny said before, like, I can't imagine you going into, like, I cannot even go to a 1 hour shift anywhere, like if I had to, and like as sensitive as I am. I think I really feel for you, like, as you keep working with that fear piece, like the detachment will come, and then whatever is next for you, you'll know. Like, I know that you'll know. Just like when I knew it happened, I was like, beautiful. Like, that chapter has ended. I learned everything that I needed to learn, and I completely detached from it. And I'm glad that's over, because what we are doing in many ways is energetically, we are still a part of, like you said, one pinky toe. It's still a pinky toe in that world. And it kills you a little bit every time. Like, every time I was talking about these stupid celebrities, I'm not stupid. Sorry. But I was talking about stupid shit when it came to the celebrities. I was like, what am I doing? Like, this energetically is contributing to fucking nothing. Like, this is not what I'm here for. And yet it was, this is just what is here for me now, and do what you got to do, Ellie. Work through what you got to work through. And then when it ended, it was like, that's done. It was like taking like the last great shit of your life, and it was like, close that toilet, and then here we go. But there is so much for us to learn and for us to grow out of. And then there's also this challenge, I'm sure, where you feel like this, where, I mean, I can't imagine like seeing patients who are part of the sick care system who are so unconscious to what's actually happening to them. That must be really difficult too. And also being around people who are low, not without judgment, but like so low in their level of consciousness. In that too, being a higher level of consciousness, the challenges that come with that. Because when I was doing my MTV job, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, where they were at and where I was at, and yet having to fit into that. I mean, there's just so many layers to this.
Yeah, 100%. I am starting to recognize the light that I am and the light that I bring to this system. So I work in the emergency department. It is where people come in their deepest, darkest moments. And unfortunately, it is also becoming a walk-in clinic and a homeless shelter, which doesn't really help the vibes and dilutes the emergency care that we can give when we're also providing these other services that are not really within our realms. But to be able to work with clients and practice reading their energies, practice feeling what programs that they're running, learning how to say certain things in the right ways that is received by them based on their level of consciousness, based on what they can receive. There are some people who just come there because they want pain pills, they need help, they need a savior. Nothing I say is going to help them. Let me get you those pain pills because that's what you feel you need. And at the same time, there are people who I'm able to offer alternatives, teach them methods to go into the pain just for a moment and see what that feels like, and see if they want to be able to adequately articulate to the doc what the pain actually is versus it masking it, suppressing it, denying it. And as I heal, my voice is coming online. So even just the ability to speak up for what I am, what I believe in, and what we are at Masters of Self University, what I am becoming in my day-to-day. There are people, colleagues, docs, nurses who are beginning to see me in a certain way. They are beginning to see a shift, and it allows them to shift as well. So both can be true with respect to, we can't change the system from within, because we're not going to change the system from within to be a new system. At the same time, me being here is causing a shift in people. And that is also kind of cool to see.
Yeah, I always see it as like when I'm at work, the other work, restaurant work, just planting seeds, I have all these interactions with fellow colleagues, people that are coming into the restaurant, and every single interaction that I have, like, I have the opportunity to just be the ways for them, and role model what that's like, and for sometimes plant the seeds of awakening, not because I need to awaken them by any measure, but just by speaking the truth, by not holding back the perspective that I share on life, and not holding back my light, and letting that like shine, and being kind of like that counter voice to maybe what else is being spread out there. And there's a lot of opportunities that I've had, or just small moments where I'll be talking to a couple, and I can tell I'm talking to a patriarchal man and then a woman who's grown up in the patriarchy, and just having moments of being like, yeah, well, women are the real leaders of the earth, and the new, just talking about the new earth, and I can tell it goes over most men's head, but there's little moments that I can tell that it hits somebody, it hits the woman, or it does hit a guy who's like, you know what, I've never thought about that. Yeah, it's so true. And those moments to us seem very insignificant, but it's how we show up in our day-to-day lives, those small little moments that, like, when we all have those small little moments, we realize it's way bigger than these small little moments are way bigger than what they think they are. I mean, I think back to the kind of these key pivotal moments I've had in my life where maybe a random stranger says something, or somebody that that you meet, they really impact you, and they start to shake the old paradigm and the old programming of how you've been you've grown up. And they can seem really small at the time, but I look back now, I was like, oh, that was quite a profound moment in my life.
Yep. And, I do call it a privilege to be working with people at their, deepest, darkest times of need, and be able to provide that level of validation and support for whatever it is they're moving through in that moment, because nobody else is doing that for them while they're there. Some of these patients' clients have literally never felt what it feels like to be validated in their pain. And their pain might be completely unreasonable and irrational. And yet, to be able to just sit there and practice the work that we do with someone who has never felt this before, you can feel the shift. You can feel that they let out emotion that they have not let out in so long. So I can definitely still see the reason I'm still here, and at the same time patiently putting the pieces in place, because the day that I never go back will be a beautiful day.
Yeah, and that day, this is what I found when I think about never bartending again, or never working in a restaurant. While there's emotion there's like, oh my god, I'm so excited for that. I know that I've still got work to do, because when we arrive at a place of like more of that detached neutrality, it's like I've heard people talk about this all. I was talking to this guy the other day, and he was telling me about how he had this goal. He was like, I have to reach 500,000. And when I reach that number in my bank account, I'm going to feel great. And he got there and he didn't feel great, and he ended up falling into depression. And that was because there's all this like emotion behind what you think you want to achieve, because you think that for me, for example, right, leaving that industry is going to be this huge sense of relief for whatever reason, because of the hopelessness and the powerlessness that's in there that I still feel like I have to face on a daily basis. But when you really achieve that, and this is like, watching you move through this, Ellie, with your job, is like when it actually happens, there isn't this like, oh my God, I did it. It's like, no, actually, you've already become what you needed to become to flow out of that in your reality. And it actually feels like, yeah, like it is time for me to leave. And there isn't this like, I need to leave because I've got it, da, 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 da. So it's weird how is actually when you achieve what it is that you want to achieve, it's almost like more of a neutral, emotionless energy behind it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It really is. And I mean, this is just the natural flow that you're flowing in with your life, it's like it really becomes this neutral feeling. And also, I know that all of us right now are in that transitional phase where we're still, but where we see the path for us. It's getting pretty clear that we're here to be what we're here to be. And yet when you speak about these moments, like I know when Danny comes home from work and he's done some light work, right? Or when you validate somebody's pain, or like I remember, or I started using my voice even in my MTV shoots of like, I'm not going to say what you guys wrote in that script because that's misogynistic. And before, when I was unconscious, I would just say yes to everything. I was so powerful. I'd be like, I'll just do whatever you say. And it was like, no, I'm not going to say that actually. So this is how I'm actually going to word it. Right. And then being like, oh, okay. It's moments like that where they get to witness what you're becoming. And then you in all of that, like, be what you are. It's so beautiful. We can't see it from a bird's eye perspective of how much light work we're doing or what we're doing for the beings that are around us, but there is so much that is happening in the day to day when we show up to these places.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree.
Yeah. So yeah, let's people have to understand this, guys. You're never gonna change the system in the system. We're here to create something completely brand new, and that is so exciting to me. And there's going to be so much more of that Rachel will be teaching about, that will be coming out of this podcast. But it is really exciting to know that we are going to be building new systems, and knowing so well what that old system was, and knowing that like, no, there's so much for us, for this world, because we're here, the ones to create it.
Yep, absolutely. And like, we don't need to be fighting this system. And that is something that is also programmed within us.
Yeah.
Right? Is a lot of us woke up to the sheeple, the just like blind compliance, and went completely the opposite direction of fight and resistance and force. And I won't be controlled. You can't control me. And, the funny thing is that's just the other side of the pendulum of the exact same wounding that's within there that they have strategically brainwashed us with. And as we continue to heal our wounds on the deepest level, we are no longer on either side of the pendulum. And then we can actually show up from a place of divinity and soul-led power, knowing exactly how to make each move in every single situation without anything other than our soul-led guidance. And like, that is a place of true power, which is then going to guide us into every opportunity and every place that we're actually meant to be.
Yeah, and I had I'm not going to share too much in this podcast. There will be one coming out at some point, but I had a really powerful healing experience this last week, and as I entered a much more powerful state of consciousness than I live in my everyday life, I had that full not full, I want to say full, but the realization of like, oh, when we really tap into this energy, like nothing else really matters. And when we are really flowing with what's really inside of us, like the rest of it, it seemed when I came out of that experience, it seemed so trivial. Like all of the energy that I've put towards trying to be another way, it's like you can't force yourself to heal and elevate. You really can't. But when you really find your internal divine light, the divine power that you are, like all of the other things, they come second. Everything else will fall into place when you really find the power that you are. And it's like I'm sure Rachel said that a gajillion times, but until I really started to, I felt like I touched it in a way that I've never touched it before. And it made me realize like, oh, all this other stuff is like surface level, superficial shit, until I find this power and I truly learn how to activate and integrate that into my life. And all of the fighting, as you said, that we've been programmed to believe, it's all coming from the fact that we're not connected to that light. We're not connected to that power. And we see what's happening in the world and we want something else, But because, as you said, like we're swinging the pendulum, we haven't yet done the deep inner work to, when we're experiencing what we don't like, to then go inwards and really find the light that we are, and then connect to that, and then let that flow outwards into your reality. We swing the pendulum and we fight and resist, and we do whatever we've been programmed to believe in this dualistic way. And I've lived my life, of course, we're all a product of this patriarchal system. We're a product of duality. So I've lived my life this way, where I experience this one thing. I don't want to be this, so let me try and force myself to be this other thing and fight against my innate programming and the energies that live within me, instead of, no, Danny, this is where you go in and really go all the way in and find the power that you are. And when you do that, the need to fight and push against the system, it's like, when I started to connect to that part of my power, it felt laughable that I would ever try and force my way to do anything. It's just like, you have this aspect of your divinity living within you. Like, find that, embody that, integrate that, and then this whole fight doesn't even matter anymore. And it doesn't mean that you wouldn't do things passionately, really connected to that light, and you wouldn't stand up and use your voice or create, connect to that light and create something entirely new. Of course you would, but you don't need to fight from this energy of, oh, I'm powerless, I'm hopeless, I'm weak, or whatever it is that's in there. You don't need to do it from that energy.
Totally. And, the truth is, divinity is hilarious. She's got such a sense of humor, and the simplicity of the teachings is actually always there. And I know exactly what you mean when we have these insights, and it's just laughable. Like, when we are flooded with the recognition, with the awareness on an energetic level of what we've been doing and the suffering we've been causing ourselves, it's laughable. It's hilarious to be able to, in the way of humility, just recognize what we've been doing to ourselves and what we've been conditioned to do. So, of course, with all the love and compassion to ourselves, no fault of our own, but in the way of responsibility, let me rip up every damn wound. Let's go.
Yeah, it's that attachment. We just attach to this. It's so ridiculous. Like, Danny, as I'm hearing you say that, I'm like, oh my God, it is really so simple. And we're the ones who make it so difficult. Just hang on to dear life to this shit. The shit that we don't want, that's what we hang on to. Like, come on. It's just like,
Yeah,
come on.
and the thing is about that, right? It is super simple. Like, and when you really tap in, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this is what I've been looking for this entire time, right? So
Right.
that's true. What also is true is how disconnected and how many traps there are to
Yeah.
fall down the wrong path,
Yeah.
how unconscious we are, and how much like energetic trauma, especially, let's bring it back to being HSP and an empath. Listen, it is not easy navigating this world, feeling so much in a world that is dominated by trauma, force, control, aggression. Like, of course, it's not easy to thrive as a HSP and an empath when you live in such a low place. And then, there's all of these false paths that we've all been down, these dead ends, right? When you're starting to awaken and you're looking for help to get out of the different systems, there's so many traps. So it's true. Yeah. It's so simple. It also, there is a level of like, these teachings, this education has been withheld. The beautiful thing is MSU exists. All you have to do is follow the way.
Yeah. And obviously I know it's the conditioning, it's all of that, right? But it's, the three of us have just finished being second year students, and we took this class called Mastering Energetic Detachment. And when I'm hearing what she's teaching me, I'm like, oh, I know what you're saying is actually very easy. And yet, why do I make it so difficult? And obviously it comes down to, the I mean, how much we're traumatized, how much we're programmed, how much we're brainwashed, all of these things. Gosh, damn, I really look forward to the day where I'm like, here's the simplicity of it all,
We're getting there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if somebody told me right at the beginning of starting this work, well, first off, I didn't start this work to achieve what I achieved last week, to really connect, to find that level of power that I had no idea was even possible. I didn't start this work to do that. I started this work because I knew I was severely fucked up and I really needed help. Like, that's why I started this work. Right. That was the motivating force for me to seek out and want to change. Like, I really wanted to just be okay. Now, on the journey of moving through that, I started to realize you can be a lot more than just okay. You know, there are states of consciousness, which I've touched on throughout doing this work naturally, you know, without, you know, going and doing ayahuasca or whatever, or, you know, going to do a silent meditation retreat and meditate for 10 hours a day. Like, you can achieve these states really easily. You just have to be willing to keep showing up for yourself and follow the teachings. And when you do that, like, you can achieve way more than you ever set out. Like, what I set out to do was just to be okay. And then upon doing this work, I realized, holy shit, my potential to elevate and, you know, really become what I now understand as being a divinely powerful enlightened being is all right here. And that's the potential for absolutely everybody on this planet. We just have to just do the work.
Unprogram the programming, rip it all up. Yep.
Yeah. And if somebody told me 4 years ago, like, this is what it's going to take, like, it's going to take 4 years for you to, I don't know if I'd be like, oh yeah, like, that sounds great. But looking, like, having experienced it and touching that and being like, oh man, like if it took 15, 20 years, it's totally worth it. If it took a lifetime, it's totally worth it. It's a beautiful thing. It doesn't have to. Like, you just got to do the work to do it.
Yeah, I'm bang on right there with you. I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I took the leap to get involved with MSU, and it has, you know, shattered my wildest dreams in all the best ways. You know, this is exactly where I'm meant to be, and I'm so grateful to be here with everybody. And now that the university is open, to be working with our students and watch them evolve at such a rapid rate is, gosh, this is what I got into healthcare for, was to empower people to reach their potentials. And this is what we're doing here. So the irony is I'm fulfilling my passion and purpose, even though I'm still pinky toe in healthcare, sick care. Got to change that wording within myself.
Yeah, beautiful. And so to anyone out there, guess what? We're holding free student enrollment meetings right now to learn more about how to become a student in our metaphysical school. Okay. So you can sign up for that at mastersofselfuniversity.com. We start January 20th, 2026. So we will see you in class then. Christy, thank you so much for this beautiful topic, and share this anybody, you know, with who works in the sick care system or any system of the old earth, and, you know, they're moving through what they're moving through. This will be a great help for them to listen to. So till next time, we'll see you guys then. Bye.